What's happening, man?
Yeah, I'm
You good?
liking it. We got intro music now, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I was just finishing up some writing, but you know what? Instead of the awkward silence when you just open up these things, thought it might be better.
Yeah.
My apologies. I've been isolating, so I haven't had time to make myself look decent. So I'm just here in my rugged normal form, man.
Nah, man, you're perfect as ever. Don't you worry about it. And also, I have to raise a glass to you. Thank you for the bottle that you sent me. I'm taking a sip of it right now.
Appreciate it. I even finished the one that you sent me, so we're gonna have to re-up
Damn.
on those. We're gonna have to re-up on those this
Yeah, but you've
Christmas
had a
time.
lot of celebrating to do, man. So
Yeah,
congratulations to you.
yeah, thank you, man. Yeah, no, enjoying life. How you been, man?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good, man. Um, it's been a funny summer. It's been a crazy kind of like last
Mm,
period since we last did this money talks,
yeah,
and yeah, back then we were kind of near the top, and it started going down a bit after that. But
yep,
it's kind of rocketing back up now over the last few weeks and stuff. So, but
yeah.
yeah, it's all good.
That's probably a good place to start, right? I think a lot of people like I don't know, like what was May in your view, like looking in hindsight now, like what what did you make of the whole thing? It was a pretty heavy drawdown. Like it was,
I mean, there's two things. I think they usually say sell in May, go away. Kind of that's how the stock market used to go, and it pretty much
yep,
played out like that, to be honest. I know
indeed,
this isn't
yep,
the stock market, but still.
no,
The main thing for me is that I felt kind of lucky because I completely repositioned my portfolio probably like 2 weeks before. And
okay,
I got rid of all the shit coins basically, and I just concentrated it into what I thought would be good 5 to 10 year holds. And
yeah,
so, yes, it went down for sure, but not as badly as it could have done. So, luckily, I wasn't too bad with that. It's
yeah,
still kind of, I had one moment when it was a kind of slight stomach churning. I was like, okay, how long is this going to go on for? But if anything, that whole period made me more bullish, to be honest. So,
yeah, yeah,
maybe
yeah.
that's irrational, but that's the kind of way I thought about it. How about you?
Um, and I think I got really lucky because it all happened after the Ethereum run, and obviously I told you on here what my plan was. So I was drop Ethereum was probably like 80% of my position in crypto at that point. So I bet heavy on it. So for me, I was out. I've exited quite a lot. And then even then, I remember tweeting, just selling May and go away. So for me, it was just like, all right, it's gonna, if we right now attach to legacy markets, which we do, if the stock market falls, generally crypto falls with it. And there's a lot, it moves in tandem with legacy now. So I thought the same is going to apply here, and this will be the first time it happens, but it's not going to be a return in September thing. So I thought instead of trying to time it, I knew what my plan was with Ethereum mostly. I had zero Bitcoin or anything, so I didn't really care about that. But there were some signs, and the sign was in the the GBTC shares.
Hmm.
It was trading way above premium, and there were unlocks happening, and they weren't bullish unlocks because any of those investors who had the exposure to that Bitcoin now had it physically and could sell it on open market for 60, 70 grand, whatever it was, after buying in at 30, let's say, in January. Um, and that was a lot of like spot dumping because it was a predominantly spot led move on the way up, especially Ethereum. It wasn't like a leveraged move. Every piece of derivatives data I was watching, it was just a spot led move. But it was a leveraged move. What happens is obviously everyone starts long in the top, obviously. The leverage guys come in a little bit later. And if they're 50xing leverage, they get wiped out like big, big time. So I got lucky. Like I'd exited quite a lot of my positions, like any of my other ones, like my Solana holdings, all of that sort of stuff. It was cool, like wherever that drew down to, that was fine. And then I went pretty directionless for a little while, because I thought I want to re-enter like my Ethereum positions again because I'm an idiot. So I just thought as it's like getting lower and lower, for it's going to be a choppy summer, I might as well just sell the futures on whatever I have left. So I was just selling perps. I was directionless, i.e., if Ethereum went to 10 grand, I wouldn't have made a single penny. That's the bet I took, that I don't think we're going to gain much. and just started to build up a spot position again. Essentially, that's all I decided to do through the summer, and I was just concentrating more on like yield farming and stuff like that. I thought that was a little bit more like fun to do while the market was doing jack shit. But I think it was interesting overall. But it's not the first time people are gonna witness that. But it's definitely for me one big reason why leverage should be taken out. Like retail traders shouldn't have access to leverage. I know it's a way that they can get rich. I know you can 100x something and get lucky, but I don't know. I don't agree with it personally. I think it should be for institutional only. I don't think retail traders should have access to leverage, man. It's not safe. Like, it's not safe.
No, we said it on the last episode that just don't touch leverage. I was actually pretty surprised when you said that you're not even using leverage on crypto. And that for me was like a sort of double like whammy. I was like, wow, I'm definitely not touching it, you know. So
for me,
and I
it's
think
like you can
Joe
have a
Public
coin that
shouldn't touch
10x's. Yeah, you can 10x on spot. Like, you know, why be greedy? You can 100x on spot. Like, so why put yourself at risk for stops get run in this market? They hunt your stops. They literally hunt your stops. They're watching, like, for me, when I enter positions, I don't just market buy. I'm sitting there on the order book looking for the prices. And you can see where people's stop losses are. You can see the amount, you can see where it is. And cool, I'll just take you out. And I'm not a market maker. So a market maker's definitely doing that. So it's an interesting thing, but I think regulation couldn't come soon enough. That's where I sit on the fence a bit personally. I think
for leverage, you mean, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like they need to. It's correct that in a lot of jurisdictions they're saying you shouldn't be, because people are levering out their nuts and losing all their money before the moves even begin. Essentially, which is like crazy to me, to be honest. But so where do you see things going now? Obviously, it started to go the other direction. You've had a nice V recovery. Like, where are you at with things? What's your view, sort of like macro? Because do you think it's all sort of moving in tandem together now, or is it like decoupled again?
I think everything seems to be moving in tandem for me. And the only thing I'd say is I think we're pretty close to the end of this bull run, this particular one. Like, honestly, if you told me now we're in the last 2 months of it, I wouldn't be shocked, to be honest. Like, you know, like as they say in the Avengers, we're in the end game now. That's what I feel like. So, and there are various kind of signals for that. But I think from now, and this is just, you know, pure kind of like gut instinct, I think most coins will kind of go 6 to 8x from here. And then if they happen to go beyond that, great. But otherwise, I think people should start pulling their money out. Yeah, and just don't get greedy, because, or at least like have a proper strategy. We're going to talk about that in this episode. But have an actual strategy, an exit strategy. That's one of the questions that I've been asked like more than once. I know John was watching and he asked that one as well. So yeah, we're going to discuss that for sure.
Yeah, I think exit strategy is a good one, because otherwise you won't have one and you'll just hold forever, and it's not the strategy, man, at all. I tend to agree with you. I think we're looking at an end to this either December to January, February, and it will be the price action that dictates when I exit. Plus, like, right. I say that I'm not going to call the top. Like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to get the top. So for me, it's just when I start seeing the order flow that makes me think it starts to lean bearish again, I'll be out. So yeah, we are getting close to that point. We're definitely getting close to that point now. So what, like, obviously it got a bit boring through the summer. Like, I'd say it was pretty untradeable. It was a good time to enter new positions, I think, if you had like stable coins around. Did you like experiment with anything at all? Or
I mean, there's the thing that I learned from you in that that March episode that we did is just start dollar cost averaging. And since I started doing that, then my life has just been so much simpler. Every month I'll just take a chunk and just put it in. So I knew the market was going down, but I was so relaxed about it. Honestly, I probably slightly freaked out at one point in the whole correction. And so I was just entering certain positions. I was bolstering new ones. Like, I mean, if we talk about Solana briefly, you know, my God, you nailed it so much. Like, that was the biggest piece of alpha from that episode when you kept talking about Solana. And I think pretty soon after that, I started researching it, and then I bought in just after that. And I've actually got a stat. So basically, when
Mm.
well, so in December of last year, Solana was about $1.40 per coin,
Yeah.
right? When you said buy Solana, it was about $14 a coin, so already 10x at that point. And
Yeah.
now, I mean, if you forget today, but basically this morning it was about what, about 170, something like that. So it's gone another 12x. So since last
Yeah.
December, it's gone about 120x. I mean, wow. I didn't get in last December. I got in after March. So it's probably around, I don't know, maybe April, something like that.
Yeah,
I,
I got in about $8. Like even I was late. Like I got in at $8.
yeah, but I mean, whatever the position was, like you were still like
Yeah.
well ahead of most people, and that was such a good shout. And so that to me is kind of like, okay, that was great. So I mean, I think the main question everyone wants to know is would you take dinner with Premz or 100 Solana? I think that is like the new,
Take the 100 Solana. Just trust me. I'm gonna sit there silently, eat my dinner, and leave.
Do you know what? That's true. That's exactly what you do.
I'm just gonna sit there. I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna dap you, and I'm gonna leave. I'm not gonna dap you because it's COVID. I'm just gonna leave and just leave you with the bill. So just take. To be honest, that's what my thing was. Like I used to say to a lot of people, like just get like 10 Ethereum if you can. Like if you can afford it, average in and get 10 Ethereum. And then earlier this year, I was like, all right. Second Ethereum started hitting 2-3K. I was like, all right, that's not a realistic thing because people don't just have like 20, 30 grand sitting around. But I was like, 100 Sol will run you about $1,000 at that time. I was like, that's manageable. That's like 20 grand now. And that's in about 6 months. So there are like, you know what the problem is with bull markets more so is people start chasing what's pumping at the time. And obviously I said it in the last one. Solana was an easy play to me. I was just betting on Sam. I was betting on nothing else. I was just betting on the individual. And in my head, it's like this guy's gonna pump his own coin up to an extent. Like he won't let this fail. The guy's a multi-billionaire. He's Joe Biden's biggest donor. Like FTX is one of the biggest crypto brands out there now. They sponsor Tom Brady. Like I'm not gonna bet against the guy. So I'm gonna have a position in every coin he's involved with, like Sol, Ray, SRM. I just took positions in everything because, and I just call it my sandbag. Like on my Blockfolio, I've got whatever, and I've just got my sandbag. Because even when the market's dipping, your sandbag will just continue going up for some reason because that guy will deploy capital. He don't care. And that was all it was. And then once I'd actually gotten into the Solana, it's like yield farming on like Solana is fantastic. Like it was the easiest way to hold it. Like I was getting on the Sol Ray farm, something like 95%
Wow.
APR. And then it's like, as it continues rising, you go in with like 100 Ray. By the time you start selling off some of your position, because Ray hits an all-time high, you've got like 500. Do you get what I mean? So it just helps. And when you're coming in, that Ray was like $2-3, and then now it's worth like 12. So there's a lot of like, I think a lot of what I wanted to talk about is like where the opportunities are in crypto, because we are going to go I don't know if bear market's the right one, but we are going to have some form of downturn, and it's not going to be as easy as, hey, enter a position in this. The main rewards in crypto come from experimenting and just playing around with things. Like, I think the biggest wins I've had this year were actually from airdrops. They weren't from me making a position. Like, Cope was a good airdrop. And by holding it, it's only continued to give you more airdrops, which is wild. I would recommend Cope's like $3. I'd recommend getting 100, whacking it in a Sol wallet. Check back in 5 months. You'll have a bunch of different airdrops in there, which some might be worth something, some might be worth nothing. But it's worth it. But even, the most recent one was last week. I had two. DYDX, just by placing one trade on their platform earlier in the year, then I forgot about it. They did an airdrop to everyone who used it. And then depending on how many times, the people that used it the most got like 20 grand in airdrop if they sold it, right? Another one I got was, I've been using the like AVAX ecosystem now. And just to bridge your Ethereum into AVAX, just by using that system, they airdropped you something called GM. Sorry, GB, good bridging. When it dropped on Saturday morning, it was worth 2.5 grand. Like
Wow.
people are literally you get free money literally by just experimenting. Like, when people like read up on coins, that's one thing. But like my thesis this year has been like just L1, L2 and exchanges. That's been what it is for me. And if I'm heavy on Ethereum, why would I not be heavy on anything that is similar to it? Because anything that's similar to it that doesn't have gas obviously is attractive, right? But the reality is you already have a king, so it only benefits your bigger blue chip Ethereum position. But at this point, Ethereum is not going to go to 50 grand.
No.
Like, you haven't got as much room for movement now. So if what I'm trying to do is just build more ETH, it makes more sense to go into like your Solanas, AVAX, Polkadot, what other cool ones are there? There's a few other decent ones as well where you've got a lot of room. Even like Tezos, like I bought into Tezos in the what was it called? The ICO back in 17, right? And it's made me nothing ever since. Only now it starts to get more bullish. And I haven't bought more like over the last week. Only because I took one look at like their NFT platforms and like it's brilliant. It's cheap and there's some really good artists on there. So there's so many different ecosystems now. Like I feel like I need an intern to keep up with everything because there's gaming, there's NFTs, there's the layer one plays, there's everything, and it's like it's too much now. Like it's actually for me, it's actually giving me a headache. Like it's actually a full-time job,
Yeah.
so that's why I'm in endgame mode because it's like I'm getting what I want out of it, but now it's getting to like it's getting too much to try and do everything. Like to try and play like Axie Infinity, yeah, it's dope just so I can understand it. But I even just got to a point where I took one quick look at things. So I was like, just green button, fuck it, let's see what happens.
Yeah. And I think this last kind of, I think we're going to have a parabolic move soon. And one of the things is that I was going to talk about is, do you think we're going to have in the next cycle or whatever it is, do you think we're going to have parabolic moves like this or 17 or 13? Or do you think this is basically it as the market matures, that we're not going to have predictable cycles or like really crazy gains?
I think they'll still be there for like the non-blue chip stuff. I think for like your more blue chip, like your Bitcoins, Ethereums, I think unless we get to ETF, and there will be ETF, and ETF, I think next 12 months, banks are very fond of BTC and Ethereum. So you've got CME futures for both. The next step is ETF. They will get that approval, right? Do you know the problem with crypto now is, when I guess a lot of people thought, the institutions will come in and that's a good thing. It's not. When the institutions come in, they have enough money to wipe you out. They can drop it as far as they feel like because it's play money to them. They can sit there and tell all their traders, just keep selling Ethereum. Just keep selling it. I want a $1,200 entry and then we'll build our position. And the reality is banks are all late. So now they now need to get an early price. I don't think you'll get the parabolic. You may get one more. I think if anything, you get one more, and that's at ETF approval. And I think like ETF approval, if it happens in this leg, it marks the top. Like Coinbase marks the top of the last move. The Coinbase IPO, that was it. That was the top. We came back down. ETF will be just to buy the rumor, sell the news. That is what I think it will be. Then it will become a very sturdy thing because a lot of BTC will be off exchange. A lot of Ethereum will be off exchange. It won't be getting traded. It will be getting held. So it will rise in value, over 10 years. Maybe you'll see some gains at this rate of inflation. I don't know if you'll beat inflation anymore by that point because you've already had like 1,000x's like in all of these assets. So I don't know. Like I'm bullish for the future on it. I just don't know if I just think maybe we've had like the big moves out. I don't know if we keep getting like that next bit, like people calling for 10 grand Ethereum, man, no one would love it more than I would, but I don't know. I don't know if I see it.
Yeah, I mean, I can see any price happening within the next 2 to 3 months. Like, I can see 10K Ethereum, I can see $1,000 Solana, but I'm talking
Yeah,
about peak prices. I'm not talking about
yeah,
like,
yeah,
and
yeah,
no one, like you said, no one's going to call the top. Like 1% of people might call the top. So,
yeah,
you know, I just think long term, um, I could just see the market maturing more as more and more players get involved. Especially, I'll come to it later, but I think once corporations get involved in a meaningful way, I think that's what changes crypto the most. Once the biggest corporations start getting involved, forget the finance industry. I think that's a separate
yeah,
thing, but they, if you think about someone like Amazon or Facebook, they can leverage consumers in a way that the banking industry cannot, absolutely cannot. So,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, we'll come to that later. But I mean, in terms of Ethereum, is this again like last time we were talking about crazy gas fees for Ethereum? And then it seemed like everything was going to be great, and they released a big update, et cetera, et cetera. Now we're up to even crazier gas fees for certain NFTs and things like that. You're going into the
Yeah.
thousands, not a couple of $100s. So do you think Ethereum is the future, or do you think this is the death of it, or neither, or do you just think there's going to be like Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, whatever, all together?
Yeah, I think these things are going to coexist. I think Ethereum has now become like the rich man's platform. Like if I speak to like some of my friends about like like minting this NFT stuff like that, you don't realize even like on a 0.01 mint, you're spending 300-400 bucks, including gas, right? Um, which is a lot straight away on a punt. Um, the NFT for Ethereum is a rich man's game. I think if you're entering NFTs, I'd enter in at Tezos or one of the Solana ones. Um, I think as far as what Ethereum's getting used for, I think it's made itself the daddy, and that's it. They're in bed with Vitalik. Like he's got that. I don't think there's any issue of, and the Ethereum killer narrative I don't agree with. I don't think anyone's going to be an Ethereum killer. I think anyone that does well in that is only going to benefit Ethereum because they were first. The same way that Bitcoin, it doesn't matter. Your Bitcoin is Bitcoin now. You're not going to be the next Bitcoin. You will only ever benefit Bitcoin. That is it. Bitcoin is store of value. That's what we've decided it is. We don't need it to do anything else. We don't need NFTs on Bitcoin. We don't need nothing. Like we just need it to be store of value. We don't even want to spend it. Ethereum, it is going to be everything else. It's going to be Web 3.0. We know that. However, on Web 3.0, you can have Google, Yahoo, AOL, and that would be your Solanas, your Tezos, whatever, like whatever these other things are, they will be interlinked because, like I said, any of these other platforms are going onto, I can bridge from Ethereum into those. They're built for that purpose. So you can go even like Arbitrum right now on Link, you can bridge from Ethereum into Arbitrum, do whatever you need to do, bridge back. So I think Ethereum is fine. I think it will be like daddy. And the thing about the London upgrade, though it's done nothing for gas fees, a lot of Ethereum's getting burned, and it's on some days it's deflationary, but generally, let's say in a year's time, it will be a deflationary asset. So I think even if let's say you get like this big parabolic blow off top, and it comes back down again, I've got a feeling you return to about 2K. I think that might be the lowest entry you get. You might be lucky at 1500, and then it's deflationary. And for me, that's when I would just build up like a 10-year position and just say, you know what, for my kids, maybe this could be beneficial. Like, I don't know, especially if there's ETFs and things involved. So I think Ethereum's still good. I think we have to see what ETH2 looks like next year. If they do well with sharding and things like that, there's a very good interview with Tim Ferriss, Naval, and Vitalik, which came out about 2-3 months ago, which kind of explained the whole plan, where the challenges are. It was quite honest, like where the challenges are, what could work, what couldn't. But it's also not something you need to worry about till 2022, which for me is like I'll be out by then. Like I don't really care what happens. Like even if it goes crazy then as well, I'll just have to miss out. Like I'm very comfortable with the way I position myself. Like if I miss out on something, it's fine. Like I exited ETH like 3.5, 4. I missed 4.5, but I'm cool with that. Like I do, for the sake of 500 bucks. So I think it will be fine. I think it's a reality that we are going to have. I think Ethereum will be a very normal thing. I think Bitcoin will be a very normal thing. I think Sam Almeida will be a very normal thing. I think the guy actually has the potential to run the world in some aspects. Like anything he touches seems to turn to gold. I think the only thing we're waiting for is FTT to do like a BNB sort of run, which is weird why it hasn't. But I'll keep a bag just in case it does, because I'm sure it will at some point. But that's what I think. But I don't know what your thoughts are, like on Ethereum as a whole.
I think you nailed it when you said it's kind of like a rich man's game now, to be honest, Ethereum. That I think the light bulb moment I had was back around, I think it was around April time. I was on Uniswap,
Mm.
and I basically have this rule where I never do anything important after 10 o'clock at night. Yeah, whether it's an important conversation,
Okay.
anything financial, anything technical, anything like that, because I know my brain will screw up something. For some reason, I was aping into some stupid coin at
Mm.
10:30 on Uniswap,
We all been
and
there.
I actually,
Yeah.
and I got scammed. And
Oh, okay.
I just, my brain switched off for a second. I clicked on the wrong link, and next thing you know, the next morning I was like, "What the hell happened?" And I probably lost about half an ETH, which
Okay.
to
Oh,
me
damn.
isn't,
Yeah.
that's not the end of the world to me,
Yeah.
but for a lot of people, that's a huge amount. And it kind of was a light bulb
Yeah.
moment. I was like, okay, I can write this off, no problem. But I was kind of like, that was being a bit blasé, if I'm honest. And like, okay, I
Yeah.
broke my
Yeah.
own rules and stuff like that. But it kind of hit me that how expensive ETH is and the gas fees and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, most people can't play this game, you know. So long
Yeah.
term, these prices, these gas fees, and all that kind of stuff will have to come down and pretty sharpish. Now, I think we're just going to have like an investment cycle now for the next 3 months or 5 months, whatever it is. Everything will go to shit. Loads of people won't come back for another 3 years. Other people will kind of play around for the next 3 years or be accumulating or, like you were saying, be
Mm.
experimenting with whether it's airdrops, yield farming, whatever it is. And so I think that's when ETH needs to get shit together, basically. Like, I think there's only so long it can keep doing what it's been doing before there is a
Yeah.
rebellion, basically. And people will be like, no, okay, we're going to Cardano, we're going to Solana, we're going to DOT or whatever it is
Yeah.
that ends up as the big challenger. So, yeah, I mean, those
Yeah.
are kind of my thoughts.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think bear markets are for building, aren't they? And then like
Yeah.
bull markets are just for printing as much money as you can. Um, but that's one advice I would give people. Like, if you're not already exposed, I wouldn't worry about it. When no one, like, the good thing about the summer is I waited for, so I actually have like a secret Twitter account, which has a bunch of counter indicators on it.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of people on there. Some I even know personally, but you're not one of them. You're not a counter indicator. But I've got some people, there's people that you and I both follow as well on there. I'll share it with you one day. And I wait for them to say something. So I saw, I don't know what it was, 2 months ago, Bitcoin was about 27 or 29. It might have been 29. And like I said, I don't really leverage, right? And I saw one person tweet like, yeah, Moon Boys, how does it feel? I was like, I've been waiting for you. You haven't said nothing for like 60 days. So I went, all right, got my VPN out, went max long, right? And I'm still not out of that position. I've just kept it. That's the only leverage position I have. Because what I do find with crypto is when everyone's talking about it, that's when you want to be selling. When no one's talking about it, or people are like, oh, so how's the crypto thing going? Oh, I heard it was pretty bad. That's when you need to be buying the shit out of it. Like, beg, borrow, or steal. Buy everything you can. Just don't buy dog shit. And even if you buy dog shit, it still might 10x. But that's when you enter, when no one's talking about it. Like when no one's saying nothing, that's when you enter crypto. When everyone's talking about it again, and like you've got your normal friends who don't invest, they don't do this sort of stuff. When I start getting those texts, like I'll sell off 10-20% because the end is nigh, bro. Like winter's coming. You know it's coming when that starts happening. Um, so yeah, but I have a very weird way of doing things. Like I'm not too much of a charter. Like I'll look at basic support resistances. I'll look at derivative order flow more than anything. And I'll look things like like the GBTC unlocks. I look at the premium prices if it's trading below or above premium. Apart from that, man, I go on gut feel. Like I'm really bad like this. I'm a gut feel person, and it's either going to pay off 100x or it's going to fuck me 10%. In which case, I don't mind. Like that's how I do things. So I wouldn't do as I say, don't do as I do, basically.
But one of the things you said in the last episode was a really good one where you were counter trading yourself,
Yeah.
and you were kind of like, okay, how do I feel? And then you'd write it down, and then you do the opposite, basically.
Mm.
And I got to that point with Solana last week because, yeah, I've got a position in Solana, but I mean, you know, when I bought it, I kind of like, I had a bag of 4 different things at the same time, and Solana was one of them. And I was trying to be kind of grown up and stuff, but Solana is obviously the one that's rocketed, and the others have just sort of plodded along. And I had a bit of FOMO last week, and I was just like, okay, so I put a Twitter poll on for a day, and I was like, you know, should I double down? Should I leave it, or should I just wait for a pullback or something? And I thought, let me just see what Twitter's saying, basically. And you said it in the
I hit
last one.
double down.
Like, yeah.
I voted double down on that.
Last time you were like, sometimes you need to just G-check yourself. And that to me was kind of G-checking myself because I was making it public, but I was also waiting a day. And that took the steam out of it for me. And I was kind of right not to enter at that point because since then it's gone down a fair whack. And I mean, Solana's not even been working for most of today.
And that's the best thing. If it's not working, you can't sell it. That's the best part. I've been buying. I've been accumulating all day. Honestly, I've been accumulating all day. Wagwan Priyesh. This is a trader, right?
Rugrat. Strikey.
Yeah, that's. I know. So Rugrat did the video for him. It looked dope, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been accumulating Solana all day like a degenerate because my thing is if it's not working, you can't sell it. Like they can't send it to exchange to sell it. So why not? I'll just buy more of it. Again, I believe in Sam. Sam will pump that thing. It doesn't matter. Like I don't mind. We'll just leave it. If I can get $400 out of it, I'll be happy. If we get $1,000 sold, then wow, I don't know what to say. But you know, it's all good fun. It's all good fun anyway. So what is your, because a lot of the questions I had was exit strategy as well. So what is your, like, let's just say if you think between now and December, the party stops, right? How do you prepare for that? Because we both agreed on we can't call the top. And I very much doubt you're going to do it all in one day. Like you'll just sell off everything. So how are you going to position yourself like for this sort of thing?
I think, I mean, I'll keep an eye on everything. I'll have price alerts, everything like that. I think the strategy that I've kind of been leaning towards is selling off about 20 to 25% every couple of weeks, basically. I mean, you're never going to time it perfectly. And I might end up just keeping a bag of 10, 20% in each coin just for the sake of it, just to kind of keep me in the game, just in case there's like an extra pop-up or something like that. But that's it. I will sell off about 75 to 80% of things and just do it stage by stage. I've been researching a few different strategies. I think something like that just kind of makes sense because then you're, you know, as long as I don't kind of regret and think, oh, you know, I missed this, I missed that, and I don't get greedy because I think the 2 times I got greedy this year is when I got burnt, basically. So I'm just trying to kind of, you know, make sure I don't get greedy. And like I said, I think this next couple of weeks is about kind of getting the portfolio right, still accumulating a bit. And then I think things are going to probably start popping off in a really meaningful way. That's kind of how I feel. And then I think that could last 4 months, but I honestly think it could last 6 to 8 weeks and then that's it, bang. I think it could be done by November. It could be done by December. I personally can't see it going into January, but I mean, who knows? That's just conjecture. I'm gonna try basically selling off stage by stage about 20-25%.
What will be your indicator to begin that? Because obviously you're still accumulating. So what would be like your sign to do it?
I mean, there are various signals. I mean, I would pull the do your own research card for people watching because, you know, I don't want it to come back on me. But I think it's also learning from the correction back in kind of May as well, like that. There was one really important indicator that I knew was really flashing red, and I ignored it basically in May. And that to me is the indicator that I will be watching the most. I'll DM you it, and like, I mean, you'll know it anyway, but just to sort of verify it. That's the one that I'll be like, okay, I think this is the top now. Start selling off stage by stage, basically.
Okay, fair enough. I would, I've always had the same approach, but I just do like 10%, like in a week, just because if you're in a bull market, you should be clearing well over 10% in the week.
Yeah.
So you can very easily take 10% back. And on that thesis, it'll take 10 weeks to get rid of your stash, but it won't. So you won't be done even by the time the correction occurs, but you would have done well irrespective. So if it starts to come down. So I think that's the best way to do it. I don't have any other advice on it. You're not going to be able to call it.
In terms of the portfolio itself, what would you recommend people watching to what? So you said like L1, L2, and bridges, right?
Yeah. So the play for me so far has been like, I was kind of done with Bitcoin this year. Like I now have more exposure now to Bitcoin. I had zero all year though. I entered in that below 30 area up to like 33, like spot holdings. And then I obviously went leverage about 29 or whatever it was. Everything else, the funny thing is I pretty much rebought my whole Ethereum position. That's the hilarious part. But I just have more now. But I pretty much rebought my whole Ethereum position because I thought that's not done yet. Everything else was just like L1. So anything that, I guess anything that would be deemed as an Ethereum killer. So, and exchanges. So BNB no longer, but FTT, Sol, ADA I only chop in and out of because like I can't sleep at night holding ADA, like a sizable amount of it. I can do small bits here and there, hold it. If I can see momentum, like I just use, like sometimes I have momentum indicators. I just show me, all right, fuck it. This looks like it's going to do a 20% in the next hour. I'll just do it. AVAX, Polkadot, all of those XTZ, they all have their own ecosystems, which is one of those, if you just go onto it, you yourself will be impressed, especially if you're comparing it to a Uniswap experience on Ethereum. You'll go, why the fuck is Ethereum so expensive and this is so cheap? I might as well get myself a small bag. And that's exactly what I did. Then after that, NFTs is another thing. And buying and selling NFTs isn't for everyone. I don't even know what I'm doing half the time. I laughed because I bought this like gray painting. Like it was literally a gray palette, right? I bought it for like 0.02 ETH. I sold it for 0.5 ETH the next day, right? I had no idea what I bought. I had no idea what I sold. It's just fun, but it's not for the faint-hearted, because if you get stuck holding something that becomes worthless, you are fucked. And no one's even going to buy it from you. That's the problem. Someone might not even take it from off your hands. But then you've got NFT plays like Axie Infinity was probably, I think Axie Infinity was my best move of the year.
Yeah,
I think that and Sol were my best plays. But Axie was like, it was gaming and you're getting paid to game. And this is like in Indonesia. Is it Indonesia? It is Indonesia, isn't it? There's based in.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah.
And you know, this is a place where it's very low income, and you've got kids who are earning real money to play this game. And I was like, all right, it was cheap. I'll take a position. Started going up. I thought I'll take more of a position. Then the shit just went bonkers. All right, there's one on FTX, this Star Atlas game. That looks like it has potential. It's still stupid cheap. But if you're betting on the gaming NFT system, it makes sense. So these are just the different areas that I'm in, like L1s, NFTs and gaming. But that I would say is, I'm at least 60% blue chip though, Bitcoin and Ethereum. I'm anywhere between 50 to 60% blue chip. And that doesn't stop. And all I'm doing is building my blue chip position. Everything else is just particular rotations I can see. Like we had a good NFT bit. L1s were good. I think we go into DeFi now. I think your Aves and coins like that will get their day again. It's going to happen quickly. It's not going to be a long move, but I think DeFi will get its day. And then it will no longer have its day very quickly. It might only last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You'll just keep rotating until when you start getting to Dodge and Shiba, that's when you know. I'll be like, for me, that's when you know it's happening. Once you've gone from value into absolute dog shit, you know it's coming. Like you can't question yourself. You have to know at that moment that the idiots are in. Retail is in big time. You're even doing it, and that's how you know it's all fucked up. I even take dodge positions at that point. Like I don't know, I'm even going to judge it. I go in,
same.
yeah, and you know what? I'll jump in and go. You know what? Why am I going to counter such an easy move here? Like I'll go and do it. I have bills to pay, so why not? And when you start getting to that point, you know the end's coming because they're not going to sell on time. Like they're just not. So someone's got to be left holding the bag. So like, I'm going to leave them with it. So that's kind of like the strategy. But for me, it's keep blue chip position high because if they draw down, they're not going to draw down as badly. They'll rebound better. If you're, left with some really shitty altcoins that you bought for the fuck of it, you're not going to be happy. Like, if you've got certain projects that you believe in, if they draw down, you'll be fine with it. You'll go, I'll buy more. If you start thinking, I need to sell it, you definitely shouldn't have probably bought it in the first place. Not for a long-term position. If you cut in intraday, that's absolutely fine. But I can't sleep holding positions that I don't believe in.
Yeah.
Like, I have to be comfortable.
I'm not sure I've got any coins now that I don't like quote unquote believe in. They might end up being huge, they might end up being mid, but there's none that are dog shit coins basically. And that to me helps me sleep at night for sure. And I'm glad that I kind of repositioned my whole portfolio right before the correction anyway. So yeah, like it did draw down for sure. I wasn't, but I didn't sell anything. I never sold one coin throughout that whole period. And if anything, I was just accumulating because I was kind of like, I was still bullish at that point. So I thought, even if it goes down, this is a great opportunity to buy. I was buying this at this price that was, like the 6-month low of it and stuff like that. So, and in terms of coins that I believe in, something like, I mentioned it, Hedera, HBAR, that just hit an all-time high today. And that for me is kind of like, the only reason I would sell it is to capitalize so that I could buy more of it. So, if there was like a 50% drawdown on it, so that I could double my HBAR basically, But that for me is a long-term position for sure. So I won't really be. I think last time we sort of said I might start rotating more into stocks, but now I'm kind of like, I think what I would do is sell, 80% of my position or whatever it is, and then try and buy back and accumulate and accumulate and accumulate, and then put separate money into the stock market because I still think the stock market's a bit. It's funny, people are like, "Oh, crypto's so volatile." Have you invested in the stock market recently? I've been in it for the last couple of months. I'm like, Jesus Christ! Like even I've been taken aback. Like I put something in and it's like 25% down. I'm like, wow. I'm not putting crazy amounts, and I'm just sort of dipping my toe back in. But it's still surprising me how volatile it is right now. So yeah, like there you go, basically.
Yeah, I think the macro landscape is what's screwing everyone right now. Like everyone was so scared about Fed tapering. And it's like, I think I don't know, I guess it's because like this is what I do. The tapering they're not tapering a lot. Like they're printing trillions and trillions of dollars. They're talking a 1% taper just to say they did it. And even if interest rates were to go up next year, I don't get why that crashes any market whatsoever. You're not going to go into bonds because the interest rate went from 0.5% to 0.75. Like you're not just going to go straight into bonds again and say bonds are king when Tesla will still pull you a 20x on the year. Like Goldman ain't doing that. So this is where I think I'm confused with traders getting so scared about the Fed at the moment. And I think that's what's really screwing things up everywhere because people thought Jackson Hole, I thought Jackson Hole was going to be like the unofficial nod that it's happening. And then when it wasn't, there was like, all right, party begins again. Dollar's been strong for the last 2 weeks. US has inflation today. It comes out a little bit lower. So now it's transitory again. Party begins again. And it's like, if we're in the hands of the Fed and all the Federal Reserve members sold off all their stock last week, which right now, if you look at a chart, it looks like they sold the top. It's a dodgy place to be. Because if that's what's going to control the narrative, then it's kind of like we're in Jerome Powell's peril and we're all fucked because it's whenever he decides, basically. and he could even get replaced as Fed chair. Someone else comes in and they just go, yeah, great, rates are going up. I don't understand why people are placing, I guess the institutions, why they're placing their bets in this certain way, where a 0.5% interest rate hike would completely, and it wouldn't be 0.5%, sorry, it would be 0.25 or 0.1, why that would screw up their macro position. I think that's what's like confusing me at the moment. I can't get my head around the why. Why are people so panicky about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's worth mentioning the COVID situation in America is really bad, so I think that's screwing with things a bit. Just
Yeah,
before we went on air, Biden tweeted something about taxing the rich, the ultra wealthy, and the corporations.
yeah,
So for a president to tweet that, I was like, wow. And then like we went straight on air.
yeah,
And so, you know, plus I think inflation has become slowly, I think it's dawning on a lot of the kind of stock market that inflation could be an issue. I think they've been burying their heads in the sand about how much money has been printed, and
mm,
you know, but you're right. It's really difficult to predict. Like you know, part of my thesis has been that it's going to be pretty bad, and that's going to play into the hands of crypto. But I could be completely wrong. So you know, in the end, I've been now treating crypto just as a separate entity, basically, and not
yeah.
revolving things around it. So yeah.
Yeah, the problem with inflation is any investment you're trying to beat inflation. The inflation starts rising to these stupid rates and people decide to ditch their investments. How are you now beating inflation? Is basically that's what's, but then I guess I'll see when it happens. Like that, I think you might get like small corrections in certain. I think stock market would just rotate as it does. It won't just all come down. They'll move from growth to value or whatever. I would like crypto to decouple at that point though, because that's the perfect time. Because right now, if institutions are in, and I know on certain platforms, like, it's known that Goldman have accounts there, and you know when Goldman are in particular pools and yield farming and whatever, if they know they can get 45% risk-free on a Delta, like Delta One, sell the perp, no risk to them whatsoever, they've got 45% banked, why do they care? In reality, like crypto's got to a point now where you can be directionless and make 30, 50% with no risk, no directional risk. And I think that's the best part for me.
But to that point, what about regulation? What kind of regulation do you think is coming? How do you think it's going to affect, you know, just average retail consumers and the big institutions?
Leverage and tax. That's what I think it's going to be. I think it'll be leverage. They come for that. I mean, they've already done that here. We can't have the derivatives here.
Yeah.
It'll be leverage across the board, which I agree with. It'll be taxation because I know everyone's making money and they want their bit. Fair enough. There's not much else you can really do. Like crypto exchanges right now still have to apply by normal like anti-money laundering KYC stuff. They all do, even if they're not regulated by like the FCA, for example, or the SEC, they still abide by the same rules because they know one day it's going to happen. And they'll say, okay, show me all your clients' passports. And they'll have to show it. And it will just be cooperation between the exchanges and government, which is why you just don't leave your money on the exchange. Like DeFi, that's the beauty of DeFi for me. You can do anything. I can enter a leverage position. I can take an options position. I can like do a put call or a put. I can buy spot all through DeFi. I don't need an exchange. That's the beauty of DeFi for me. And that's the beauty for the banks because they can anonymously come in. And there's certain wallets now that I track. One is Sam Alameda's, one's Vitalik's. So I've got a bunch of people that I just track their wallets. And you'll see when they enter a pool, to stay in while they're there. Like it's a really easy move. They're not going to go in the wrong place. They have enough money to make it the right decision if it goes against them. Like there are certain moves which are like too easy to be true, but they just really are. And you just have to be like awake to it. But even like if you think, I don't know if you ever do lending on crypto
Yeah.
at all. Like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you know, lending on FTX, for example, it went as high as 90% in the height of the bull run, like earlier this year. It's sitting at 40% right now. Even if you don't want to buy any crypto, just lend the USD at 40%. 40%. You're not going to get that all year round. You know, I've seen it drop to like 4 or 5, but that still beats inflation. It beats what your bank's going to give you. That's why for me, it's just like, do you know what? I don't care if people don't buy a coin. I don't care if, you know, if people don't want to explore DeFi and whatever. I completely get all of that. But you've got to dip your toe into this because opportunity is just everywhere. Like I'm telling some of like, you know, like my friends that are uncle age, that are the property tycoons and things like that. And that's what they know. They know they're 8% yield. And one day they'll sell the property, get smashed on capital gains, but they'll still make a bit of money for themselves. That's what they know. And I've done very well at it. But when I show them, I can get you 40% right now, no risk. Do you get what I mean? Like you know, our generation talks like we don't have opportunity. We have an abundance of it. It's just in a different place right now. That's all it is. Like you can literally I have separately in my head a crypto business where I am the bank. I take direct interest trade. I market make. That's what I do on there. I make markets. I lend. I am the bank. I'm not the punter. I'm a price taker on everything else that I do. But at least that part of it, I benefit. When trades are done on these platforms, I earn. Do you get what I mean? Like you need to feel it. Like it's something that you need to see. And once you start realizing how real this is, man, it's like, why wouldn't you be in it?
That's crazy, man. That's amazing. And I agree, the opportunities are just there. I was watching like a Raoul Pal interview from like last week. It was like quite a long one, about an hour and a half, something like that. And he was saying exactly the same thing. He was saying, you know, our parents' generation, they had various opportunities, but, you know, he was kind of like, they didn't make the most of it. You know, they did in certain capacities, but, you know, they kind of blew other parts of it. And for us, we haven't had the opportunities, whereas now crypto is a great leveler and the opportunities are there. Like, you know, and, you know, you can lead a horse to water, basically. I've tried to make people realize this, but for whatever reason, they're not into it, and that's absolutely fine. You know, I've done my bit, I've made you aware, and if you don't want to do it, you don't want to do it. Absolutely cool, no worries. But just don't, you know, in 10 years' time, I don't want to see anything like, oh, you know, crypto back in 2021 was just dominated by white middle-aged males, blah blah blah. And no, everyone has an opportunity right now. You know, with whatever color you are, whatever gender you are, whatever age you are as well, pretty much. You know, I went round to my cousin's house a few weeks ago, and he's got a couple of boys, and they're about 10, 12, both of them. And we were just chatting. I was saying, yo, I'm into crypto, and their eyes lit up. And they were just like, and then they started peppering me with questions, and like they're obviously not old enough. And their dad was just like, "Oh, crypto's a scam." You know?
Of course it is.
Of course it is. But the kids were just like peppering me with questions and like, "Oh, have you got this? Have you got this?" I was like, "Yeah," and I do that, and they love it. These kids are going to be so on it. And I just hope that they get the opportunities in you know 5, 6 years time when they're old enough to do it themselves, and just learn the knowledge right now. Because for them, this could be transformational, you know. So I think it's an exciting time. And I mean, the parabolic wave, like I said, I can't see it lasting over 4 months. I think 2 to 4 months max, and then bang. But then, I mean, how do you think the next kind of 5 years is going to play out? Because I've got a thesis about it, but I just wanted to sort of see what you think.
I'm super bullish. I think crypto, Bitcoin especially, has acted how it was supposed to through the pandemic. It's proven itself in every aspect. I think DeFi is great. I think, like I said, Sam is Joe Biden's biggest donor. You're not getting rid of these guys now. They are funding your next governments. Crypto regulation will be powered by us, the people that are in it. It won't be powered by the old guys that don't get it. Yeah, I'm super bullish. I see nothing against it. I think the scams will get wiped out. You know, like you're not going to have your shitty, you know, low cap crap coins anymore. So enjoy them while they're here. But this is it. We're almost like I said to my friend earlier, crypto now, you're not early no more. You're not early. If you're in now, you're not early. Certain parts of it, you are. But as a whole, you go buy some Bitcoin or Ethereum right now, you're not early. You're on time, you're not late, but you're not early anymore. And what I will say, you know, you said your friend's dad said it was like a scam. Like, do you know what I would say to everyone is everything is a fucking scam. So we need to realize the stock market, bonds, the fact that we hold money with a bank and just have an IOU with them and just say, well, hopefully you don't go bust. Property and land, like we act like the government one day won't just go, hey landlords, you own too much, like they did the other year, and said, let's hike up your taxes so you start offloading. Or one day say you can only own more than 1 or 2 properties and that's it. Like everything is a scam, everything's a Ponzi. Enjoy it while you've got it. Like just see the opportunity and make money. Like I don't even read into shit no more. I honestly don't. I just look at it and go, can I see opportunity here? Fuck it, I'll punt it. I don't think, because thinking has cost me money way too many times. Like I know myself, I know what I can afford to lose if it were to go wrong. Have fun with it. Like this is like the funnest market I've ever been in. I'm selling photos of penguins, like cartoon penguins, and it's paying my mortgage. Like what reality are we living in, bro? I'm not releasing rap songs because I don't care right now. Like I'm so invested. Like my brain is here.
We need an album this year, man. Come on. Don't do this.
I'm not doing an album this year. I'm not doing an album this year. I have got a project ready, but it's gonna be like January. I'll leave the year with it. We're getting to that time now. It's like I've got joints there, bro. I'm too busy. And it's like any of my downtime. It's like I'm getting to the point where if I sleep early, I know I've missed something, and I wake up the next morning and I missed something. And if I was by my screen, I would have saw it. And if we're in that season, I just need this time just to do what I need to do. Like, so that's kind of where I'm at. And I enjoy it too much. That's what it is. I just enjoy it too much. So I don't mind. I just think it's fun. Like selling an NFT is fun. Playing Axie and getting paid for it is fun. I'm a Pokemon fan. It's Pokemon on crypto. It's great. And even just buying a coin, even getting rugged is fun. That's how fun crypto is. Even getting rugged is hilarious.
Yeah.
Like I bought something and got instantly rugged the other week for 25%. I thought it was hilarious. I got straight out of it, but I thought, you know what, it happens. I don't mind.
I mean, yeah, I'm sort of just joking with you because I think now is the time to focus on crypto and just make as much of it, make hay while the sun is shining, because it is shining right now.
Yeah.
In terms of the next 5 years, like I came up with sort of thesis like a few months ago. Basically, it's kind of like it's called invent or invest. Yeah. And I think that the corporations are going to start piling in really meaningful ways over the next 5 years. And they're kind of waiting for this whole parabolic move to just die out, basically, because there's no point in them doing anything right now. No. Once it all dies out, I think exactly what you were saying, that there's going to be a concentration of the best coins and the really shit coins will just die out. And, right now we've got like about 8,000 coins, 10,000 coins, something like that. I've lost count, but I think that will kind of reduce over time to more like 1,000, like just covering various industries. Some will merge, and also I think once corporations start doing their own cryptos, they'll just buy up existing projects. Because what's the point in then kind of just trying to do it all from scratch anyway? I mean, there's no real point.
Buy the tech.
Exactly. So that's what I mean. Like they could either invent it or they could invest in it. And what's the best time to invest in it? When you're in a bear market. So, you might have had some project that's gone like all the way up, but then just wait for it to go all the way down. They'll come in and say, look, we'll give you, $500 million. Yeah, just take it. Yeah. They would do it because these are often like pretty small teams of people doing all this kind of stuff, the actual, the crews behind it. And then I think once the corporations are involved, I think that's when we get real kind of consumer interactions, and I think we'll get real adoption. I think the coins that are going to do the best are the ones with the best tech, the network effect, the adoption, the community behind them, all that kind of stuff. Now, if you talk about community, a corporation has a ready-made community anyway. They're just called consumers. They're just called clients. They're just called buyers. Yeah. So I think that will kind of like negate most of that kind of anywhere, that sort of need for building a community anyway. And so the crypto that we see in 4 years' time, if there's a bull run in 4 years' time, or if it's in 5 years' time where everything's evened out,